Close my special sand protection doors. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Join the team. Man, this is a big old boy. It's a big old boy. Hey team, it's theMCGuiReView, and today I am very excited to go through the brand new Return to Dark Tower from Restoration Games. This is a Kickstarter that I have been waiting on for some time now, and I've really been excited about this one. There's a few Kickstarters that I backed. I mean, obviously you should be excited about any Kickstarter that you back, but of the ones that I have backed for the last couple years, this has been one in particular that I have been very, very excited and anxiously awaiting because I just thought it was so awesome. The gameplay, the tower, everything that was there, the way it was designed. It just looked like a really, really, really fun experience. I have not played it yet. This is not going to be a review video. We are going to do a full review video on this game. This is going to be an unboxing video, so we're going to unbox everything that we got here now that it's at production quality and see what we got. The only thing that I have done so far is I broke the shrink and I pulled out the rule book because I wanted to start looking at the rule book and how it was designed and starting to read through the rules. I do like the way that the rule book is laid out. It follows a very interesting design. It's almost a lot like a lot of the review videos that I do, almost. It's interesting because you kind of get how to set up the game, and then it just goes into this like concepts to know. I actually really liked that design where it sort of goes around and talks about all the components and how they're used, and concepts just holistically to know about playing the game. It really follows a design of how I do most of my my review videos. Obviously, they didn't copy that, but you know, looks like people are starting to catch up. That was done really well, and then it gets into the actual sequence of play, start of a turn, all that kind of stuff. The only thing that I will call out, and again, we may find more things. This is, you know, this is a review video, so I don't really know what we're going to find in here. You are going to be seeing this the same time I am going to be seeing this. The one thing that I will say here, and I don't know how I feel about this, but I don't know if you can see that, but when it hits the light, I don't know if you can see all those imprints. The book is not cut by any means, but essentially what has happened is, and I could say that every single person, if your box is packed like this, you're going to have this problem. Essentially what has happened is the book was put in, and then the chits were put on top of the book. And I believe the way it should be packed is the rule book should be at the very top, against the top of that box, and the chits should be underneath. But again, these are packed by hand, so whoever was packing this put the chits on top of the book because of the pressure of this, and then being shrinked, and the shrink was very tight. It put pressure on this book, and it just imprinted those chits all over this book, and it goes well into like page 8 or 9. That it's still, like, that's how much pressure that it's imprinted. It doesn't cause any like readability issues. There's no issues, and frankly, if it doesn't kind of hit the light or you're feeling it on that top page, you wouldn't even know it's there. But, you know, I mean, would I like it to be perfect? Yes, I would. So it is an issue as far as like it's a production issue. So, you know, it's just something to call out. I'm going to call it out because it's a review and it's there. I wouldn't say it bothers me. I'm not going to contact Restoration Games and be like, hey, send me a new rule book because of this issue. I'm not going to do that because it doesn't, you know, it's not. Now, if it was ripped or I felt like the integrity of the rule book was going to break down because of this, I definitely would. But it's not. So just something to know. This right here, the back of it, I thought this was the back of the box, but it is just a piece of paper. It wasn't even glued. It was just kind of in there. And that came right off as soon as I opened it up. And I'm glad that it did, because here's the front of the box. The box is amazing. So from a review perspective there, the box is awesome. I love the design of the two different colors here. The front here looks awesome. The side of the box, you'll see, And that is how the box is. I don't. We'll look at it when we get everything out. Maybe it does close all the way down once everything is out of it. We'll have to see. But that's the way the box comes. And then on the back here, you have another piece of really cool artwork. And this is all just kind of like a standard print. It doesn't have any of the reflection or anything on it, any of the spotting. And it just looks awesome. I really like the artwork of the 4 main characters that are going to be included in the game. Okay, so let's go ahead and get the box off. And again, I'm just as excited to get into this, hopefully, as you are, because I'm seeing this right now. Okay, so right off the top, you do have your chits and a nice little instruction manual here about like how everything kind of goes back in the box, which is nice to see. I like to see that in games. Like, this is how it kind of goes back, and it really kind of goes through explaining how it's packaged, because there's some things, and this was actually what's kind of a real shame here of how this turned out. This thing is it's shrinked in here, and maybe it's just shrinked too tight, or they should have put the rule book, like they should have put the rule book at the top and then had like these papers at the bottom, but the rule book was kind of in there in a way that like the rule book was just, it was in this pack. And it's hard to see how it happened, but I mean you can see that it's a direct print of these chits that are right here. It's really odd, like how that actually happened. That's weird. Okay, because they put such an effort towards like packing it well. I mean, there's these little pieces of cardboard that are all in here that obviously you'll just take out once you open it. There's this piece of cardboard. They went even the extra mile of kind of printing on here. It says this piece is included only for transit and may be recycled after receipt. And then it shows your game board is stowed under the bottom insert, and then where your game board will go once you get it out and it's all unpacked. It'll go back up here where this thing was. So that's really cool that they did that. I think that's the first time I've seen a company kind of go that far with some of the packaging. And then inside, you're just going to find a really awesome amount of like trays that really hold everything, which is nice to see that it's not all just kind of dumped in there. And then there's maybe just this cheaply designed insert that everything goes, just in back in big pockets. These are custom designed little holders, really cool. There's actually a piece of tape that's on here, so I'll get that off. Tape, be careful with that. It's actually taped on both sides. So that's the shame here, is that they really have put a lot into, flip that over there, they really have put a lot into the packaging to make sure that it's designed and packaged well. Bear's going to hit us with some up-close miniature cam as we go through these. Now, all of these pieces have kind of had this, it's basically a wash. I mean, these are just your standard plastic pieces, but they have been hit with a wash to bring out all of that detail that you're going to, the bazaar, this is one of the bazaar pieces that you're going to see in each one of these different, we'll say kind of locations or location types, and then in your 4 main characters. So let's look here at the models, the miniatures. They look really good. I mean, the miniatures look as good as any high-end board game miniature that you would get today. For the most part, they look really good. I mean, the sculpts are nice and deep. They have a ton of detail on them, and the washing's done. The washing's done pretty well. I don't have a problem with it. I mean, I am a miniature painter, so if I was to paint or wash or whatever on these, it would be significantly better than what's here. But to just pull the pieces out and just be able to ready to go and just have it look good on the board and stylistic look good with the feel and the theme and the artwork of everything, I think they work really, really well. Will I repaint these? I don't know, possibly. I I'm really excited about these games, and there's only 4 kind of heroes here in the base. I'm sure there were expansions. I didn't get any of the expansions, or I just got whatever came in the base with the Kickstarter. I didn't get any other, expansion type stuff. So, all right, so we'll get those miniatures out. You can take a look at those. Here is a die. The die looks good. It's got kind of a creamy, kind of pearlesque look to it. I really like that die. That looks good. And then we have the bases. You'll get 4 colored bases for each one of the characters, as well as these little skulls. And the skulls do look really cool as well. They did a good job with these. This is not a component that I've seen this component before. I assume they did their own kind of custom. Whoa, almost dropped a skull. They did their own custom thing, but they do look really good. They're a good size. I was concerned these would actually be too small. They're actually a really good size, and the wash on these probably look better than they do on the models, just because of what that is. But the wash looks really, really good on that skull. Okay, so there we go with the heroes, as well as a few of the components. Put that to the side. And now we've got a whole nother kind of larger insert that's after that. So we'll pull that whole thing out. Okay, that's all one piece. Got another piece of packing cardboard in there. Again, they really tried to do a good job. Now this is interesting. It's maybe the first time I've seen this as well. Yeah, I don't know that I've seen that. I don't know that I've seen this in any other game. This is really cool. So, on the inside of this box, they've actually got a clear, thick tape that is on the inside corners of this box that is reinforcing the corners of the cardboard of this box. That's really well done. I will actually do this myself on games that I think are going to split out. I will do this. So that's cool to see that they did that in the manufacturing process. Even with, this is a really sturdy cardboard box. It's a thick, this is a thick, sturdy cardboard box. And they still did that reinforcement. That's really well done. Okay, here's the board. So we're going to try to be as careful with this as possible to get this open. There is a small, no, I don't want to do that. I'm going to try to go in this crack right here. Nope, I don't want to do that. There we go. Got it. Okay, we got that plastic off. We're going to throw that right over here. And let's get this board open. So there's your design on the board. Not a square. It is a round board. Fan of a round board. Haven't seen one in a while in a game. So, and it is nice and thick. You can see how thick that board is. It's a nice thick board. Okay, let's see how it looks and how it came out. Sometimes these thicker boards, okay, it does somewhat suffer from what sometimes these thicker boards like this do. And I will say it's a pretty deep cut as well. I mean, it goes all the way to the top image. So I was afraid it would suffer from this, and it does, but it's not too bad. Where it's got sort of that lineage of, it looks like it's not ripped, but it's kind of got that line where it looks like it's kind of ripped that goes all the way down. You're going to get that usually with these boards that have these darker colors like this. It just shows through more, especially across this black area right here. But, however, that's where your tower is going to sit, so I'm not as concerned about that. I'm going to have to see how that holds up, to tell you the truth, because it is pretty bad in areas like right here and right here, almost to the fact that after a number of times, I could see that starting to rip through. It just seems like the cut on the board was done pretty deep, and it goes all the way through the cardboard to to the actual print on the other side. But the problem is, and that's not abnormal by any means. The issue is, if they didn't do that, then you're going to get the other side of that, which is the board won't lay flat. It's always going to be like awkward, and this board does lay perfectly flat, and you're going to need that design-wise to be able to hold and support the tower. Otherwise, it'd be all like warped, and then the tower trying to be sit on there, and then the tower falls over. So they had to get a board that would lay completely flat, and that's going to require a deeper line cut. So I think it's going to be okay. I'm not overly concerned with that. It's just a little bit. I think it'll be okay. But we'll just kind of have to see how that holds up over time. But that's our board. So board looks good. Artwork looked good. Color looks good. I love the tone they went with on the coloring there. And then let's get this open where we got... This is a really cool insert. It's even got some, some print that's been kind of pressed into the plastic there, which looks really cool. Now we got only 3 decks of cards, which is actually kind of refreshing. A lot of board games nowadays, you'll open them up and there's 800 cards in there, and it just, I don't know, it can get kind of overwhelming. So, just got 3 little small decks of cards. You've got your Test of Sacrifice. There's a number of different types of cards in this game. Things that you'll get, like this one here, spend to gain +1 wild advantage. So there's a number of items you'll be able to get in the game and different benefits you'll get that will help you in your battles. It will help you in like the little quests and tasks that you're taking on. This is very much a questing type game. Again, this is not a review video of the game. It's a review of the components and the unboxing. We'll talk more about the gameplay and how the game actually works, but it is 100% the type of game that I like, where you're going on this cooperative quest to achieve some overarching goals, and that's just the kind of game styles that I like. I like those questing type games. What is that? So there's something that was stuck in here in the cards. This looks something that, okay, it looks like one of these test print pieces. I don't, that may have been a mistake. It was separating some of these cards, but I'm sure that was just kind of a mistake that was in there. So we've got potion cards, quest item cards. Let's take a look at some of those. Those look really cool. Good artwork. You can check out the overhead cam. We'll show some of this stuff. Gear. So I'm going to hit up the gear here. Let's check out some of this. The Blessed Scepters. Nice. Brass Talismans. Trusted maps. Some armor. Some swords. Alright, so that's pretty cool. Alright, so a few different types of cards there you'll get. And then let's get into this one. I'm really just kind of checking the quality of the cards as well as the final print on the cards and how that looks. The artwork is cool. I mean, the artwork goes really well with the style of this game. I really love the style of artwork that they actually chose. I think if they would have got too bright with it or too like cartoony with it, it just wouldn't have... I don't think it would have worked thematically. They really nailed the art style with this style of game. So that looks really good. I think the print looks good. Again, this is a style and a tone of game that I wouldn't want the print to be so bright and poppy on the cards. Easily seen, looks really, really good. Got high color where it needs it. I like how they've done the text on the cards. It's not too small. It could have been a little bit bigger, but they probably had some of these cards where, like, for instance, this one, where they used most of that area, and they probably didn't want different size fonts. So they just picked a font that would, work with the lowest common denominator and then just kind of use that probably across the rest of the cards. But again, the text is not too small. It's highly readable. There is text on both sides of these cards, so they are double-sided, and these are really cool. They look good, and the thickness of the card is good. They're actually really thick actually really thick cards. I would say at least twice as thick is what you're normally getting in your standard board game cards. They're about twice as thick is what they feel like. So nice high quality cards. I'm happy to see that they didn't just go with the super thin kind of standard, you know, flimsy all over the place. Like they definitely put the quality into the cards. All right. Test of Sacrifice cards, Test of Compassion cards, Test of Prowess, so Test of Valor. So there's a number of different tests and things. You can almost think of it as different checks, you know, or skill checks you'll go through when you're playing the game. And then there's these corruption cards that you can get while you play. You don't want those. They can make you lose the game. And then it looks like there's some more potion cards that were at the bottom of this one. All right. So that is all of our cards. Actually, I don't want to put it right there. I don't want to block those awesome skulls. Let's put it right here. Do a little something. Do a little, ooh, nice. Okay, now it also looks like they did include, and I wish more publishers would do this. I don't know why this is so hard, because the cost has just got to be like almost immaterial for doing something like this. But putting extra little baggies in the box, I love when I see that, because you know what 90+% of us are doing when we get these games out? We don't put the chits just back in these little holder containers that the insert actually does offer. We don't end up putting these chits back in unless it fits really tight and it's specifically designed for a certain type of chit, which this is, so I probably will store the chits there, and everything in this box goes in very securely, and I got this lid, so it's not going to go anywhere, okay? So I will put the chits back in something like this, but it's good to see when they do this, if you want to keep like all of your stuff with like a character together, right, ready to go. Like, okay, you've already got your starting army people and whatever. Like, whatever chits you start the game with, you can just pull out the bag and you're like, okay, here's your character and here's the stuff you start with. Maybe that's what this is for. It probably is. Or there's certain chits that don't go back in a certain spot. Like, maybe there's a larger opening. Or if you didn't have... I mean, this lid really solves the problem. But if you didn't have that, what are we all doing? We're going and we're buying these little bags individually. We're using Ziploc bags. So I love to see them include the nice sized, proper little bags that are in the game. That's just, again, it's another one of those touches where it's like they did what they needed to do, and I'm sick and tired, frankly, of we're not in like the just getting going board game like era anymore. These are huge multi-million-dollar companies at this point. It's a massive billion-dollar industry. It's just not acceptable anymore to be opening these high-priced games and just everything's thrown in like a bunch of garbage, and it's not actually done properly with like the included baggies, the nice, you know, sealed containers. It's just like, you know what? Get your stuff together, right? Like when companies do this, it's like, yes, this is how it should be done. Okay? It's just not acceptable anymore. Period. Get over it. It's not acceptable anymore. Okay? And I'm going to start tearing people up, go forward, for not doing this. It's just not acceptable anymore. All right. Whew, man, 2022 is going to be lit. I'm going to go ahead and put this back in because, okay, it fits this way. Because, again, nothing should be stored under that at this point. The board, you found it under it. It's going to go back on the top as it was specified in our instructions. Here is the amazing tower. This thing is nuts. Okay? This is awesome. I mean, I can look right down inside of it. Yep. And that's where you're going to, like, put things. You're going to put those skulls are actually going to be dropped down in there, and they're going to do things. Sometimes they'll come out. Sometimes they will not. There's actually little movable trapped... Well, you wouldn't move them. The game will move them. So I'm not going to mess with that. But there's little doors that will slide up and down. The tower will light up. It will make sounds. This really, I think, is... When you look at all the components, there's not an enormous amount of miniatures, obviously. There is a decent amount, you know, of Locations, still, the little miniatures for the locations. You only get 4 miniatures for the characters. You got the skulls, you got the die, right? There's not an enormous amount of like the plastic type miniature stuff. Most of the cost of manufacturing and the cost of this game is going to be coming to you in this bad boy right here. All right? The only thing that you can't see that we have are, it is an app-based game. So you will need to download an app to be able to play this game, and that app works with this tower. It will connect by use of Bluetooth, so you will need to use some type of device, whether it's a tablet or a phone or something that does have Bluetooth, and it will connect to this device, and then they will work in tandem to be able to play out your game for you. And, you know, some people don't like the app-based games, some people do. One of the things you're going to need to know, and I feel like this is part of the unboxing review. I want to start talking about this. I'm going to set this aside. Is you are going to need the app, and you are going to need a device that can run the app, and you are going to need the working tower to be able to experience this game. The only thing that concerns me, that like some people get caught up on the app and how long the app will be supported and working on certain devices and yada, yada, yada. And, you know, do I just buy a device that runs, the base can run this and stick it in the box, keep it forever? I think all that is just a bunch of like, that's ridiculous to me, okay? I'm really less concerned about that. I would be more concerned about this thing working for the next decade, or working for the next 5 to 8 years. Now, it's obviously designed, it's pretty complex, but I mean, when you break this down, if you were to open this all up, it is just a bunch of like gears and like little working trap doors and motors. And frankly, any of those things could go bad, okay? You could leave batteries in it too long, and then they, you know, if it's a crappy battery, then it like acid leaks out and messes up the contacts, and then all of a sudden now this thing won't run because of that. That's something that I think you're going to have to take care of. You don't want to knock this over. You don't want to drop this thing. You want to treat this thing with care. You want to make sure that if you're going to store it for long periods of time, you take the batteries out. And I believe if you care for it well, like anything, it should last for a really long time. But that's probably going to be my biggest concern, is like, when I pull this out 10 years from now and want to play it, is this thing still going to work? Because if this thing doesn't work, it's game over. This game is 100% driven by this tower and what this tower does. So if this thing doesn't work, this thing doesn't work. So I would be more concerned about that than I ever would a piece of software that can continue to be upgraded and supported even by a community if for some reason Restoration Games wasn't around 20 years from now, okay? God forbid. So I'll call that out from a review perspective. Am I personally concerned? I mean, if anything, that was where my concern would be, but I'm not really concerned. Like, this thing is going to last for the amount of period of time that I need it. So here at the bottom, you're going to have this little door. It doesn't have a screw or anything on it, and then there is a single switch to turn it on and off. So you can open that door up, okay? Completely comes off. I do just happen to have 3 batteries in my pocket. Blow those off. Those are Amazon-style batteries. And it's just marked there. You go ahead and put it in. Now, normally I probably should wait to fire it up with the application, but this shouldn't affect anything. It should just try to load and then not connect to anything. So I'll go ahead and put the batteries in there. I do believe these are brand new batteries. And then I will turn it on, set it down. It is making noises. Lights are coming on, so I assume it's working. I do believe it does a number of things before. Well, what it's probably trying to do right now is Bluetooth connect to a phone. So I don't think it's going to do anything else. It's probably searching for the application in the phone. But the fact that all right, and there's lights that are all over it that are blinking and doing things. The the tower is working. So that's good. Nothing like pulling this out of the box, putting the batteries on, flicking it on, and being like, you get nothing, right? So feeling good about that so far. We'll go ahead and turn this off because, again, we'll get into that when we do the review of the gameplay. I want to finalize on the components here. We have a Return to Dark Tower page. We kind of already hit this in the beginning. It does just give you some information about... there's probably some care information on here, too. Yeah, like use with care. It probably went over the things that I just went over. So there's a few different things here that it talks about. There's a warranty. Let's actually look at this because this covers the tower. Offers the following warranty on the tower unit in this production. This warranty does not apply to any other components of the product, including printed materials, plastic materials, or the companion app. If your tower is found to be defective or becomes inoperable from its ordinary and custom use within 2 years from the date you buy it from the original seller, we will repair or replace it at no charge upon receipt of proof of defect. Okay? If we are unable to resolve the issue remotely, we will ship you a replacement tower and return label. So looks like that's all handled under the company. If your tower is lost, damaged through accident or misuse, it has been more than 2 years from the date it was purchased, Mr. Seller, we will provide a replacement tower upon payment of the production cost, plus shipping, plus a $10 handling fee. So it looks like if it's outside of the 2-year mark, you're not out of luck. They will sell you an individual tower. I have no idea what they will charge you for this because that doesn't state that price. It just says payment of the production cost. So it does look like they are specifying production cost. So it looks like you will get it at cost. They won't put a markup on that. That's how I read that. So that's good. But you'll get plus shipping plus a $10 handling fee. So probably another $20 in handling and shipping. And then whatever this thing costs to produce, it cost. I don't know. It couldn't be an enormous amount because, well, I don't know. I don't want to say because who knows what it is. So it looks like you're covered fully for 2 years per their warranty. So that's nice. They didn't have to do that. It's nice they put a warranty on it like that, a specified warranty. Okay? All right, so that's what you're going to find here on that paper, so make sure to keep that. This isn't just a thing you throw away. It's got your warranty on it. All right? Here we have the character sheets. So these are the character mats. So when you play the game, this is what will sit in front of you. I like seeing these larger mats like this. On the back, it just has the logo, which is kind of cool. I think one nice touch would have been maybe some flavor text about that character and that character's background on the back. It's really unnecessary, but it's kind of cool sometimes. And if you play the game for the first time, you might want to read it. I don't think it adds any value past that point, but just call that out. Right? Nice big mat. This is where you're going to store all your chits. Here's where you're going to put your corruption cards. You get more than 2, you lose the game. Down here, it's got a spot to add and store treasures. And then you got a nice big piece of artwork of your character that's right there on the character board. I like that they went with these larger character boards like this. I am a fan of these character play mats, I like to call them. And we have the chits in the game here. I thought I damaged. I didn't. Okay, so we got the chits that are for the game. They actually look really good. I actually really like the quality of the artwork on these chits. It's actually really crisp. A lot of times it can get kind of fuzzy on these chits. This is a really high quality print job. Even the text and everything is very, very sharp. You can see that on the overhead cam. We're going to pop out one of these chits. They're nice and thick. They're not like overly chunky thick, but they are a nice thick quality chit. That feels good. That right there is my preferred thickness of a chit. It is nice sometimes when the chits come out of these board games and they're real chunky and real thick, but also that's just not necessary, right? This is a nice weight, nice thickness. All right, well done on the chits, and a fantastic print on those chits as well. I'm really impressed with the print. The color and the print is done really, really well. This is really high quality on these chits. So really done well there. Okay, team, I'm gonna cut it there for the unboxing review from the component perspective. I wanted to spend some time on this. It is obviously an expensive game. Pretty much all games nowadays are that are like this, that come with the high quality components and pieces and miniatures. You know, especially from a Kickstarter, you're looking at that $100+ price range. Again, I just did the base pledge of the game. I didn't add the monster miniatures. I think there was some expansions I didn't add. I'm probably going to start kicking myself for that pretty soon. But, you know, that's my thing. There's so many Kickstarters. I just do the base if I'm interested, and then I can add that stuff later after I play it, and I see that I really, really like it. So that's what I'm going to do here. We will be doing a full video on the review of the gameplay, both the competitive and the cooperative modes. And that I really look forward to that video. It's probably going to be a couple weeks before we do that. I'm not going to rush it. I'm not just going to blast it out because I'm trying to get the views. So there's probably going to be some other ones out before mine comes out, definitely. But I want to be able to play it enough that I really have a good feel for the game. So if you want to see that review coming up, again, it's going to be at least probably a week and a half to 2 weeks. Hit that subscribe button below. I really appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel. And stick around for the review on the actual gameplay of Return to Dark Tower. So hit that like, hit the subscribe below to join the team. Keep rolling them crits. This has been the McGuire Review, and we'll see you next time.